I got divorced in 2017. And in that, I started to separate myself from everything that I loved and cared about, and tried to be a drug dealer. I mean, I was pretty good at it too. It just wasn't the life for me. It wasn't something that I really wanted to do. It was just easier for me to do that than it was to face what I had done and where I'd been. And I had the whole world in the palm of my hand. I had everything I wanted or needed. Good family, kids, new house, new cars, beautiful wife. And I kind of flushed it all down the drain making bad choices. If you don't have God, you're not going to forgive yourself for something like that. Because I didn't just wreck my dreams. I wrecked the dreams of the people around me. My parents, her parents, my kids, friends and family. I was one of those people that everybody counted on to do the right thing, and I completely did the wrong thing. And I mishandled it, and it allowed me to get into a place where I didn't want to see or feel or be around anything that I cared about. So I engulfed myself in a world of drugs and people that were willing to absorb anything and everything good about me and that I had done in order to stay high. And that's what we were doing. We were all staying high. Called myself a drug dealer, but I was really just getting everybody high, keeping everybody high. That's what we were doing. I went to a program in 2019, and that's when I really knew that I was saved and that I was different, and that drug culture and the drug life really wasn't for me. I really didn't want any part of that. And I did well there. I did really good there. I stayed into the aftercare program and things like that. And then I came home with the mistaken impression that I could do it on my own, that I could lean on Jeff again because I'd always done everything that I needed to do to be successful. I was okay. Jeff's abilities and his gifts and his talents were good enough to get me by and to be productive. And most times to succeed, even, at a high level. But ultimately, it wasn't. I quickly found out that the plans that I thought were good were not good. They weren't what God wanted for me. Ended up with the wrong girl. Ended up, backsliding right back into I did good for 2 years. God gave me everything back, the old job, cars, had a house, was doing well. Things took a turn, life didn't go my way, and I backslid right back into that life. And for a few months, 3 or 4 months, I wrestled with God. I felt God calling me. He was like, Jeff, what are you doing? That's not the right girl. Jeff, what are you doing? Stop. Jeff, what are you doing? Until he sat me down. It took, getting locked up again, going back to jail. And catching some charges that weren't exactly legit, but it was what needed to happen for me to sit down. And in doing so, I started to, say, hey, look, I want to go back to a program. I want to go to a faith-based program. I want to get close to God like I was in 2019. And all the avenues that I explored were just dead ends. And the program that I went to before changed some policies right before my court date, which was kind of devastating. That was my game plan, was to go back there, do the right thing, and then stay associated with them. That didn't work. So 3 days before court, Wesley starts to tell me about a better way, and that this place ain't that bad, and, hey, it's a good thing. So I called and got an acceptance letter, and just a matter of days. It was a really quick process. I fought for my first 3 months here. I did not want to be here. I wanted them to change the paperwork so that I could go to another place. That didn't work out. And then I just kind of fell in line and started doing what I needed to do. So my first day here was it was cool. It was a long trip to get here. I'm from 4 hours away, in the back of a cop car with handcuffs on, in some smelly clothes that were in my locker at jail. It sucked. But I knew that I was on my way to better. And that was pretty cool. Despite the circumstances, I knew that my situation was going to change for the better. I got here immediately. I got out of the car once we did the little bit down there at the office. I saw Wesley. And I had peace. I went, straight to work at some detail painting across the street. It wasn't, but I was going to do whatever I needed to do. That was day one. They say there's a honeymoon phase, but day 2 sucked. Day 3 sucked. Day 4 sucked. All the way to that 3-month mark where I went to see my probation. And they said, the paperwork is the paperwork and we're going to leave you there. That all sucked. I mean, I didn't want to be here. I felt like I was in a place that was not like me at all. I'm from the country. I'm simple. I work hard. I don't play the manipulation game. I don't whine a lot. I'm not from the city, and this place is the city to me. Without the group of guys around me that I had and that I've had, I wouldn't have been able to make it. My core group of guys, man, and most of them fit in that mold of personalities or people types that I would have eliminated from my life. And I didn't, and I pressed into it, and they pressed into me. And the time and the energy and the love and the things that we extend to each other is something that's probably, that would probably take precedence over, the coffee in the cup thing, is that these guys love me and I love them back. And it's relationships that I feel like we're going to nurture in the future for a lot of years to come. For me, a better way, in a nutshell, God has used a better way to what I thought, was this different culture and these different kind of people is the biggest thing that I've gotten out of this. That they say, if you're carrying a cup of coffee and the guy trips you and coffee spills on the floor, why did coffee spill on the floor? It's because coffee was in the cup. So God has saw fit to put people in my life here to expose my coffee, to show what's inside of Jeff that needs to be worked on. Learning that God's going to use people in situations and circumstances to draw things out of me to make me a better person when I leave here is the biggest challenge to being here. It's the biggest advantage to being here, and it's the biggest lesson that I learned from being here. Florida was good. It was a time to breathe. It was, we made some deeper connections down there. It felt like to me like we could be ourselves and we could get away, just our groups, and be ourselves and have fun. And we did it in a good way. We didn't chase anything. We weren't wanting for nothing. All of the things that normally in that setting would have drawn me to, something mind-altering or whatever, I was able to focus on the guys around me. And the atmosphere around me was good. And I didn't feel any negativity down there at all. I didn't feel out of place. Normally it takes me a while to get comfortable in somebody else's house. Or I felt like the schedule at first was daunting. I was like, man, where are we going to have time for us? And we did. I mean, everything we did was us. And even when, Brother John was involved or Chris and them were involved or Dr. Artie and them were involved, they were us too. There wasn't a gap there. There wasn't the separation there that I thought would be. Those guys are just like us. And it was good, man. It was refreshing. It felt like that was kind of what kind of sent us over the top. What helps me is to remember that though I am, talented or gifted or I have the ability to do things, I try to remember that God blessed me with those. God blessed me with opportunities moving forward here that I didn't even see coming. It was kind of weird the way my transition period's going to work out. It's been a blessing, like, to look back. People say it is a short period of time, and honestly, it's weird that it is that short.